A non-finite verb is any of several verb forms that are not finite verbs. That is, they cannot serve as the root of an independent clause. Non-finite verbs found in English typically are infinitives, participles and gerunds. Additional non-finite forms found in some other languages include converbs, gerundives and supines. Non-finite verbs typically are not inflected by grammatical tense. And they present little inflection for other grammatical categories as well. Generally, they also lack a subject dependent. One or more non-finite verbs may be associated with a finite verb in a finite clause, composing the elements of a verb catena, or verb chain. Because English to a large extent lacks inflectional morphology, the finite and non-finite forms of a verb may appear the same in a given context. In such a case, the environment surrounding the verb must be examined to determine whether it is finite or non-finite. Examples: the following sentences each contain one finite verb and multiple non-finite verbs. The proposal has been intensively examined today. What did they want to have done about that? Someone tried to refuse to accept the offer. Coming downstairs, she saw the man running away. I am trying to get the tickets. In the above sentences, been, examined and done are past participles, want, have, refuse, accept and get are infinitives, and coming, running and trying are present participles. In languages like English that have little inflectional morphology, certain finite and non-finite forms of a given verb are often identical, for example. A. They laugh a lot. Finite verb in bold, B. They will laugh a lot. Non-finite infinitive in bold. A. Tom tried to help. Finite verb in bold, B. Tom has tried to help. Non-finite participle in bold. Despite the fact that the verbs in bold have the same outward appearance, the first in each pair is finite and the second is non-finite. To distinguish the finite and non-finite uses, one has to consider the environments in which they appear. Finite verbs in English usually appear as the leftmost verb in a verb catena. For details of verb inflection in English, see English verbs. Types of non-finite verbs. English has three kinds of non-finite verbs: infinitives, participles, and gerunds. Each of these non-finite forms appears in a variety of environments. Infinitives equals. The infinitive of a verb is considered the base form. It is the form that is listed in dictionaries. Infinitives in English appear in verb catenae where they are introduced by an auxiliary verb or by a certain limited class of main verbs. They are also often introduced by a main verb followed by the particle to. Further, infinitives introduced by to can function as noun phrases, or even as modifiers of nouns. The following table illustrates these environments. Participles equals. Participles in English can be divided along two lines, according to aspect and voice. The following table illustrates these distinctions. Participles appear in a variety of environments. They can appear in periphrastic verb catenae, in which case they help form the main predicate of a clause, or they can appear essentially as an adjective modifying a noun. The form of a given perfect or passive participle is strongly influenced by the status of the verb at hand. The perfect and passive participles of strong verbs in Germanic languages are irregular. Their form is idiosyncratic. The perfect and passive participles of weak verbs, in contrast, are regular. They are formed with the suffix ed. Gerunds equals. A gerund is a verb form that appears in positions that are usually reserved for nouns. In English, a gerund has the same form as a progressive active participle, ends in ing. Gerunds typically appear as subject or object noun phrases, or even as the object of a preposition. Often distinguishing between a gerund and a progressive active participle is not easy. The line between the two non-finite verb forms is not clear. Non-finite verbs in other languages equals. Some languages, including many Native American languages, form non-finite constructions using nominalized verbs. Others do not have any non-finite verbs. In places where most European or Asian languages use non-finite verbs, they use ordinary verb forms. Non-finite verb form in modern Greek, The non-finite verb forms in modern Greek are identical to the third person of the dependent, and it is also called the aorist infinitive. It is used with the auxiliary verb I permel to form the perfect, pluperfect, and future perfect tenses. Non-finite verbs and theories of syntax. For an overview of dependency grammar structure and modern linguistic analysis, 3 example sentences are shown. The first sentence, "The proposal has been intensively examined," is described as follows. The 3 verbs together form a chain, or verb catena, which functions as the predicate of the sentence. The finite verb has is inflected for person in number, tense, and mood a here, respectively, third person singular, present tense, indicative. The non-finite verbs been and examined are, except for tense, neutral across these categories and are not inflected otherwise. The subject, proposal, is a dependent of the finite verb has, which is the root in this verb catena. The non-finite verbs lack a subject dependent. The second sentence shows the following dependency structure. The verb catena contains 4 verbs and the particle do, which introduces the infinitive have. Again, the one finite verb, did, is the root of the entire verb catena, and the subject, they, is a dependent of the finite verb. The third sentence has the following dependency structure. Here the verb catena contains 3 main verbs, which means there are 3 separate predicates in this one verb catena. The 3 examples show distinctions between finite and non-finite verbs and the roles of these distinctions in sentence structure. For example, non-finite verbs can be auxiliary verbs or main verbs, and they appear as infinitives, participles, or gerunds, etc. See also, balancing and deranking, converb, gerundive, grammatical conjugation, infinitive, lexical category, participle, supine, verb phrase, verbal noun. Notes. References. External links, OWL Online Writing Lab, Verbals, Gerunds, Participles, and Infinitives.